Hello everyone, welcome to my door and my wall. Yes, it's a bit of a different change in scenery from my background. You'll usually see clothes which are over there, but for this video I am going to try and do something a bit different. I'm going to be trying to actually not necessarily do any sort of scripts for this video. This is unscripted, yes, but I feel like it's something that I want to get off my chest. And it's not anything bad. It's not anything too bad. This is probably going to be some sort of series. I'll probably just name it something so you know it's unscripted. Maybe there's a hot take or two in there. Maybe, you'll see. I'm just sitting down from the door and the wall in a corner of the room that I live in this trailer park. Yes, that's right, I live in a trailer park, if that really matters to you. So, with all due respect to many YouTubers, I was in the middle of watching a video from Scares. Now, I usually watch Scares mainly because everyone on YouTube kind of has a general grudge against, Keemstar and such. And, the other people don't really get too much recognition. It's mainly kind of just drama and Scares. The whole general YouTube drama scene to cover it has not really changed since 2016. Now, with all types of videos like these, they have to cover some sort of thing, whether it be silly little drama or real shit. And the Scares video that I just watched started off with a FaZe member. Forgot which one it was, because I usually don't care about FaZe that much, or Optic, or any of these other clans that you can join. But it was a FaZe member who, I don't know, I think was being robbed, and they were kind of getting shot. And then it switched over to some stuff by Nelk. Now, when I think of Nelk, I kind of think slightly negative, because I don't really know much about them, but I have heard some criticism against them. I'm a bit unsure if I'm thinking of the right YouTuber or not, which is why I'm not really scripting this. I'm going to try to find anything. However, if there's one thing you should take away from this video is, I personally feel like just because YouTube has taken down stuff themselves by something doesn't always mean it's just YouTube. Now the reason is that Scares was covering on the news on Nelk's channel, who I believe had a community guideline strike or some sort of takedown based off one of the videos of going on to Zoom and messing with people on Zoom that are trying to do stuff. Now, here's what I want to say. I think it's very clear that YouTube doesn't really, because of how big YouTube is, the general scope of YouTube, the general scope of YouTubers, and videos that are uploaded and such, you can't just say that you're going to look at it and actually follow through on it. It's something that even YouTube themselves have been like, yeah, we fucked up. Our stuff didn't work properly. Even if you don't want to agree with the use of using bots or using some sort of thing and try to get around all these with different measures, at least agree with me on this. Just because you get a community guidelines strike, we're going to talk about community guidelines, not copyright, different community guidelines. Just because you get one of those does not mean it was done by YouTube themselves. Now, sometimes it can be done by YouTube. However, with the general email you get is usually, judging by how we see it, which is not necessarily true, at least in my own feelings, because there have been times, of course, where something gets reinstated, and in this case, Nelk's own video got reinstated a little later. Now, Scarce says it's just because, it might be because people were supporting Nelk and the whole group and shebang, but I really don't feel like it could be based off that in some way. With that, it can, but that could also be up to speculation as well. However, the one thing I want to mention is that with the little automated thing, of course it's not going to be always true, but the problem is that there's a lot of trust on YouTube, and while there's some trust you should put here, some trust you should not put there, it's not necessarily necessarily proven to be right or wrong. Most of the YouTube, like most popular YouTubers that talk about this usually agree with one thing. Either YouTube's kind of like has horrible ways of dealing with things, or YouTube is kind of bad in general. And while that's your own personal feeling, of course, and that could also be some of my feelings. With community guidelines in particular, I feel like part of the problem doesn't stem from YouTube going in and taking down something because they really wanted to. Because even though that has technically happened to a lot of people's eyes, that doesn't always mean that it's always the case. Because with the same generated email, it makes it look like YouTube is legitimately taking down all of them while taking a look at it. That's not true. Usually, at least with the bots, it's likely a bot looking at it. It's not like any sort of human, which, even if you want to say, oh, just hire humans to do it, well, that would kind of be... Like, I saw a story that was about the fact that I heard Google... This is just a rumor, so I could be wrong on this. Could be a hot take. Heard that Google doesn't really... They know what YouTube is, but they're focusing on their own things, and YouTube is having very little, like, push, to put it simply, because of several things, whether it be the monopoly on the video platform, and, like, video playbacks and such, or just in general the fact that technically YouTube is its own kind of company. Even if it's technically a division of Google, it is its own company and has its own studio in I think San Bruno, California. I could be wrong on that as well. But with all due respect, just because a bot looks at it doesn't mean it's always true. And I feel like by claiming it's YouTube, you're really taking away from what would actually be the case. Sometimes it could actually just be people who didn't like it, didn't like the content. Now, here's why I wanted to make a video on it. In Nelk's case, it was about the first video was 6 million views, and it was about the idea of I forgot. I actually didn't really watch the video. I know it's reinstated. I could watch it any time, but I'm not really interested in watching some little prank video. But if it's a prank video, there are some things in it. Now, there could be something that is in general, something that someone someone out of the 6 million people would have been like, I don't like that, I'm gonna report it. Because there are people who use the report function, even if it's laughably bad to a lot of people's eyes, there are people that still use it. And of course, with this comes the power of everyone's equal, and everyone can just make something, put something there, and just go out with the rest of their day. Now, if they have gotten a bunch of them, it's likely a bot will kind of go through, see what's wrong, and because it's not necessarily reported on as much, it could get things very wrong. Now, I'm not saying reported as much as in reporting any cases like this. I'm mainly speaking of saying that there are people who are reporting it, or even someone mass reporting, because mass reporting can likely take down a video if you have a big enough team or big enough fan base. Leafy's content comp, I'm not sure if that's up or anything. I know there's a lot of re-uploads, but I'm not sure if it's up on the iDubbbz channel anymore. It might be reinstated, but when that was taken down, I did not think it was just YouTube trying to be like, oh, I wanted to, I want to take this down because it was bad to, Leafy's channel. Because what I really think is some of Leafy's fans, I'm not saying all of them, because obviously just because you're in a fan base of something or like a community or something does not mean you're the exact same person. I'm saying that some, or maybe a little bit of people, like even then, started mass reporting iDubbbz's content comp after hearing about the news of new community or new changes to YouTube policies and rules, because they were reported on. It's likely that people will be able to see them much more. It will have more of an effect, and people can abuse them even more. And I feel like with Nelk in particular, I'm unsure what it would be, but I would assume it'd be something like, perhaps public harassment. Even if, I'm not saying that's morally right, I'm not saying it's morally wrong or anything with this whole general situation, because I didn't watch the video, so I can't say if it actually is. But out of the 6 million people, do you really expect no one to start thinking of someone to report it if they had an issue with it? Because obviously there are issues with YouTube, you can report them, and even if there's a bot deciding your every fate, it's not necessarily like it's YouTube's fault in your own eyes, but it's not necessarily YouTube actually taking down your video. It's people having a problem with the video and then taking it down, which may not make much of a difference in your eyes. But essentially what I'm trying to say is, instead of trying to tackle something being taken down as YouTube's own fault, take it down, talk about how it might like what would have been the issue and what would have actually been considered a community guideline and what people were reporting. And you may think, oh, that's hard because obviously it wasn't bad. Think outside the box. Think outside the box. I'm sorry. I had to burp, I was trying to hold that in. Essentially, just think outside the box, because even though you may think something is not necessarily bad, nothing's wrong, that doesn't mean that people will find the same. People won't find it the same way. Maybe a majority of people will, but not everyone. Especially if you have 6 million views and people have seen a video of something that people may not morally agree with in Nelk's case. And with something like iDubbbz's case, with the Leafy Content Cop, it could just be fans or channels, or perhaps someone out there, some little kind of crowd, maybe a mainstream crowd, maybe a normie crowd, just kind of going along their day being like, this is an absolute disgrace to the YouTube platform. Even like in both examples, like I've seen Leafy's Content Cop, there's criticism, but doesn't mean that people from Leafy's channel and Leafy's fans wouldn't do anything to support that. It's not necessarily unheard to have people talk about Leafy's toxic fan base, even if everyone in the fan base is not toxic. Like, I never watched Leafy, but I've been very aware that Leafy bad, people good. Of course, Leafy made like 2 videos and everyone's like, oh, he's coming back. But it might just kind of be, hype and such with that case. Just as it's kind of hype just to say, YouTube did this, it's YouTube's fault. YouTube partially did it, but it's not always just YouTube's fault unless it seems very suspicious, like very targeted. And usually YouTube's not really known for just hiding that little topic. Of course, it's still a possibility that YouTube could have taken down Nelk's video. What I'm essentially saying is a theory for everyone on YouTube to really look at, but I just feel like that's really the case with a lot of these, sort of YouTube's taking down my video unfairly, because it's never usually just YouTube. There's usually something. There's usually someone or some crowd that is dedicated enough to go after it. And I feel like the problem doesn't lie from YouTube, at least all the way. It might lie with someone, which you can't really control, but is something you have to consider. That's really all I can really say. I just wanted to kind of get this off my chest. I'll probably make some sort of thing like this, where I'm just laid back, wall, door. I'll likely open up wall, door, and have a little discussion and see what people want to say. Because you do matter. You can always say something in this argument, even if you don't agree with me, even if you agree with me. Like, dislike, comment. I don't care about trying to boost my shit, but I'm just here to, have a general discussion, laid back, in a room. What more can you ask for? I'm not trying to green screen myself into fucking space and try to be some sort of, absolute imaginary being. I'm not trying to animate myself, be like, hey, this is what you should believe. Nothing like that. Just a wall, a door, your opinions, my opinion. There you go. That's the video. And that's really it.